ما أريد من هذا الشعب إلا أن يزيد في الحمد والشكر إلى الله عز وجل، ويزيد من محبة الوطن، ويزيد من العمل ومضاعفة العمل لما يسعى فيه من خير له وللدولة والأهل. هذا اللي أنا أدوره من الشعب، وربنا إن شاء الله يوفقنا جميعا على ما يحب ويرضى.
Oh well, UAE. I cannot say enough and give enough credit for the UAE. UAE is the land of dreams for any entrepreneur. The way the rulers of this country are putting the strategies and the policies and setting the stage for success for any company is unmatched.
Welcome everyone to your favorite program, Pearls of Union. Our inspiring guests have moved from the darkness of challenges to the light of success. Our inspiring guests have set a title for success and ambition. And our special guest for today is Mr. Ehab Farid, and he is the founder and the CEO of GTA Inspectors. Welcome, Mr.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Well, sir, I'm so glad to meet you today.
Thanks a lot, likewise.
So please, in the beginning, can you introduce yourself to everyone? Tell us about your background and the significant milestones you have achieved.
I'm trying to think where to start, but basically, I'm a civil engineer by profession. So I went to engineering school, graduated back in 1991, and then worked. Actually, originally from Egypt. I was born and raised in Cairo, Egypt. So after graduation, I joined a couple of multinational companies in a typical civil engineering field. But it was more into the business. Like I never, when I left school, I decided that I don't want to go back into working as a typical civil engineer in a field. So I wanted to be still in an engineering area, but within a business. So I joined a company in the construction chemical industry. So it was only hiring engineers. So basically in my field, but I'm also responsible for business development, specification setting with consultants and so on. Because at the end of the day, it's a business. So we used to sell products to big construction projects. Anyway, I joined it for a couple of years, or actually more, 3 years. And then I joined a big multinational company that was first time for them in Cairo, establishing a branch. And I stayed with them for 2-3 years. And then I decided that I want to do a further education. I want to have my MBA, because I thought combining a master's degree in business administration together with my civil engineering background could be a good mix.
Exactly.
So I started, now we're talking about 1996, 97, I think. So started to talk with few universities all over the world. Basically, it was all over the map in Australia and in Europe, and one of them was the University of Toronto in Canada. I'm telling you the story how it all started from the beginning. I'm trying to remember as it was a long time ago. So basically, I got accepted in the University of Toronto. So I decided to quit my job and go spend a couple of years in Toronto, complete my master's degree in business administration, which was my dream, and I'll come back. So at that point, I never have any intention to live outside of Cairo for an extended period. I'm basically going just for education purposes and coming back. And then what happened is that I went to my company, it's in Egypt at that time, and I told them, you know what, I need to take some sort of a sabbatical. Of course, there's no sabbatical. I'm not a professor in university, but I thought, can I go to further my education because I got accepted in the University of Toronto, and then I'll come back. They said, you know what, that's fine. And we'll try to also hook you up with our company, which is the same company, but the branch in Toronto. So you might be able to get a job or a part-time job while you're doing your education. We did this, they hooked me up. And then I was married at that time. I took my wife, I didn't have any kids. So I took my wife and we landed in Toronto, and the whole purpose, and I even paid, I remember I paid a deposit for the university for the program. Landed in Toronto, and then I went to meet somebody who was pretty senior at that time in the company, as they promised, to see if I can find something just so that I can have, even as I said, a part-time job while I'm studying. I met them and it changed my life upside down, because apparently the company was located in a city which is 2 hours away from the university. So I cannot stay in Toronto anymore. I have to go to a place called London, Ontario. Yeah. So now it became and then they offered me a full-time job. So it became a matter of choices. Do I follow my dream that I was dreaming of, and this is the main purpose where I came to Toronto, or leave it, take the job first, and then I can do the education down the road? It was a pretty hard discussion between me and my wife, and whatever, we decided to take the job at the end. And I got also convinced with a lot of senior people in the company that said, you're coming to Canada, you might like to stay in Canada and settle here. It's very important, get the job first, and then maybe even we sometimes help people to further their education, because it was a pretty expensive program at that time. And I was just starting my career and whatever, but I was planning for it. But I thought, you know what, let's take the job. So I had to move then to London, Ontario, got the job, and it ended up that I stayed with this company for 12 years.
Right.
Within the 12 years, after the first 5 years, which I established myself and I got, the job or whatever, I worked in a field which was kind of also related to engineering, but not a typical civil engineering work. I was responsible for a business called Transportation Asset Management System, which we're dealing with road agencies in Canada. We're selling, again, products for the road safety, right? Yeah. So at that time, I got introduced to something called professional engineers. What's professional engineers? Basically, it's a licensing that you get from Canada. Even if you're graduated from Canada, you get a license to be an official engineer, that you can stamp drawings and whatever. But forget about the actual practical work of it. But with my experience working in the field and meeting with a lot of engineers, we used to deal with the government a lot because it has to do with the traffic safety and so on. I got really impressed with the prestige of being called a professional engineer, and you put it after your name, it's a PNG, whatever. It was something completely new to me, but I thought, you know what, I felt jealous. I need to be like these guys, because these guys, you can sit on a table in a meeting room, and usually professional engineers will have what we call an iron ring. There's a story behind the iron ring, but I'll tell you. But there's something to identify that you're a professional engineer.
Of course, sir, during your career, you have faced many challenges and obstacles. So, of course, also you have your supporters and mentors. So, who have supported you along the way to overcome these challenges?
Many people, to be honest. Like, professionally, there were many people that were a perfect mentor for me. And without these people, whether in Canada or even here in that region, in Australia and New Zealand, I had great guys that I work with. Some of them are still alive, some of them are gone, but I need to give them the credit. But to be honest, the most support that I got was family, because my family, as I told you, remember, to choose a successful career path it comes with some sacrifices, and the people that sacrifice the most are the family, specifically your wife, because she's the one, as I told you, she did a great job trying to manage between me living 28 hours away from home where the kids, are at that time in university or whatever. So I would give her all the credit, to be honest. But also I cannot deny that professionally I got a lot of supporters, and not all of them were my direct supervisors, but there are sometimes people, like a typical wise people, I remember specific names in 3M Canada and in 3M Australia and New Zealand, that I will definitely give them a lot of credit for mentoring me and giving me this
The
right path and the opportunity as well to excel into my career from a corporate standpoint.
So, sir, you decided to start your own business here in the UAE. So, what motivated you to create your company? What motivated you to start GTA Inspectors?
That's a very interesting story. So basically, now I left the company. After 23 years. I left my corporate company. And I remember the date exactly. It was 15th of May in 2019. Okay. Now, remember COVID? When did it start? December 2019, January 20, right? So at that time, I thought, I've been working all my life. Let's take 6 months, relax, sit down and think of what I'm gonna do next. And at that time, I didn't have any idea that I'm gonna be doing what I'm doing right now. And then stayed until December, and COVID started to hit. Airports are closing down, whatever. I remember my wife was with me. We jumped into, I'm not joking when I say that, the last plane before they closed the airways from here to Toronto in order to go to stay with the kids during the COVID. You remember the lockdown, and they closed the airways. So I remember, I'm not joking, it was the last plane going from Dubai to Toronto. We got it, we went January, stayed with the kids, locked down like anybody else. Canada is also locked down like here. And at that time, and that's another thing that it is funny, sometimes troubles in life creates opportunities. And honestly, although I hate COVID, I hate these days, but you will not believe that this was the inspiration for me to do my own business. And I'll tell you why in a second. But basically, I'm locked down in our house in Toronto. You have plenty of time. There's no fun, you can't see your friends or whatever. So there's nothing to do but sitting down and thinking and figuring out what you're gonna do next, right? Yeah. And at that time, I had few friends that I knew from the Canada days back in 1999 or whatever, that they had a home inspection company at that time, GTA Inspectors, by the way. Yeah. And I thought, you know what? And of course, you can understand when I went to Canada, I was leaving 23 years of work in corporate. So I got my end of service. So I have some cash that I need to invest it somewhere.
And what services does the company offer, and also what industries do you serve? Absolutely.
We serve mainly the real estate industry. So we're simply doing property inspections for commercial or residential or whatever buildings. So to give you an example, it's very easy. You're buying a home, whether used home or brand new home that you purchased off plan from a big developer here, right? Yeah. When they call you, if it's a brand new, they call you, said your home is ready after 3 years, whatever. You bought it before it gets built anyway. Come and get your home. It's ready for you to get the key. You hire us to go and inspect the home for you, come up with a report, detailed report that you give back to the developer in order to rectify all the defects that we have found before you take the key. Because if you took the key, that's it. All liability moves with you. Yes, you have a warranty, but warranty doesn't cover everything for 12 months. So that's what we do. We inspect homes, we inspect properties, we inspect hospitals, we inspect buildings. Of course, I give you one side of it, brand new home, but also used home. If you're going to buy an apartment or a villa, but it's used, it's been, up for 10 years and it was tenanted or whatever. Now, you cannot buy blindly. You have to get somebody similar. Think about it like a car. You buy a used car, you have to take it to a mechanic to inspect it. We're the mechanics of the home. So we go to any home and inspect. We're gonna talk later about what we inspect exactly, what do we do in a typical home, but that's in a hindsight, what do we do? Of course, it could be villas, we do commercial, we do malls, we do building condition assessment for big buildings. When a contractor finish, the construction of a big 60-story building, the owner or the home, owner association, they hire us to come inspect the building, all the common areas as well as the different units, in order for them to give the final payment to the contractor. Meaning that, of course, doesn't happen easily, because we have to inspect, we have to find defects, give a report, and report can be sometimes like 300 pages worth of defects that the contractor has to rectify before they finalize and receive the unit from them. So that's in a very high level, what do we typically do.
And how has the company evolved since its inception?
More than we're growing. It's been 5 years. We're just we just closed the year, and we're doing 42% compounded annual growth rate. So year after year, we're growing at 40% rate. You can imagine companies when they grow at 5% rate, that's something. We're going 40% rate as a CAGR, or compounded annual growth. Year after year, we're adding resources, we're adding assets, we're getting company cars, more equipment, adding more engineers. We only hire engineers. Not only civil engineers, but also because we work in different disciplines. So we have mechanical engineers, we have electrical engineers, we have civil engineer. So it is, to be honest, exceeded all expectations in terms of growth, beyond what we thought, and beyond what we thought when we were first saying that we're gonna have like a side business here to give us, some presence in the country. So it's growing very well. The concept is growing very well, thanks to us and to some other competitors that came into the picture as well, because all companies in that field help, to be honest, each other without being, in a close collaboration with each other, but just to create and generate the demand and get people to understand what is home inspection and why do you need to inspect your home before you move blindly and take the key, and then you're faced with so many problems.
So today we are living in a competitive market, especially in Dubai. So we should have a special impact for us. So what sets GTA inspectors apart from other inspection firms in the market?
Oh, well, that's a very that question that we get asked a lot from clients, by the way, because I might sound, when I'm talking about this topic, I might sound a bit arrogant. So please bear with me, because I'm talking now about my company and what sets me aside from other companies. But basically, in this field, there are, especially after we opened, when we started 5 years ago, there was not a whole lot of companies. It was less than one handful of companies. Since we started, a lot of companies came into the picture, and we've seen a lot of companies that copied us in terms of even, the work, the websites and the services. And we discover every now and then we get a call from a competition pretending that they are client to get, some information and see our proposal, see our prices, whatever. Now, GT inspectors is, first of all, we're specialized in property inspection. We don't do anything else. There's a lot of companies that get into the field because they touches real estate some way or another. So they are real estate companies, let's say. They buy, sell, rent, whatever. But you know what? Since we're buying and selling and we're dealing with clients, why don't we do inspection as well? So they are not specialized. So they end up hiring some technicians, in our view, unqualified, skilled workers, and they don't have the proper equipment and so on, and then they do the inspection. So That's one area. We're specialized in property inspection. We don't do anything else, so we don't get into any conflict of interest, because there are other companies that are contractors that they said, I do contracting, I do fit out work. Why don't we do inspection at the same time we offer to repair, which is a perfect conflict of interest, because now you're inspecting with your right hand and you're recommending things to be done in the home, and you're offering to repair it as well. So for us, it's completely forbidden. We only hire engineers. We don't have skilled workers, only engineers, and our engineers are trained. We send them to the headquarters in Canada, or we bring somebody from the headquarters to do a thorough training, so they are certified property inspectors, so we certify them.
Sir, in your opinion, what are the challenges or the biggest challenges currently facing the inspection industry?
To be honest, if we're talking about here in the UAE, the major concern that we're working hardly on a daily basis is raising the awareness. People need to understand that there is something called property inspection. In this country, or this part of the world, actually UAE is much better than other areas in the Middle East or whatever. People doesn't know that the service exists. We meet a lot of clients that they got their home and they started to find the ceiling is leaking, air conditioner is not working, all kind of trouble, and they call us after in order to give them a report and give the report as part of their warranty, and they say, we didn't know that this service exists. So part of our role is not marketing to get clients, is to inform people. We do a lot of, so I do personally, like what I'm doing right now, I do a lot of interviews. I did multiple interviews in radios and whatever, just to get people to understand. And again, I'm not trying to grab clients for me. I just need people to understand that the service exists in the UAE. They can decide who they're gonna work with down the road and do their own due diligence. But the knowledge that this service exists is the major challenge that I see here in the UAE. It's much better than 5 years ago, but we still have a long way to go.
And how do you see technology changing the inspection and compliance landscape?
It's technology, AI, whatever you name it, that's in the heart of everything that we do now. So definitely, we utilize the latest technology possible that get us to be able to do an inspection for even a big 60-floor building or a big mall. I don't want to mention specific mall, but we did a lot of malls in the UAE, and we issued the report on the same day to the client. That's technology. Imagine, and again, I'll send you some sample report. You can understand what we're talking about. When we go and do a mall, it's a phone book worth of photos, videos embedded inside the PDF. It's interactive PDF. These are all technology that was not available. I remember the good old days back in the 90s, property inspectors used to come to your home with a sheet of paper and then they check everything. Yes, it was all manual. Now it's all our engineers are equipped with the right equipment, iPad, they do the inspection. By the time they leave the property, inspection is done. They upload it to the cloud, it goes to the technical team in Toronto. The report is done within an hour. Gets sent to us here for final review, and if we need to change some wording, whatever, with the inspector that did the work, sent to the client.
So sir, after many years of experience, what do you aspire to? Looking ahead, what are your future plans for the company?
Well, growth, basically, in the UAE, which is now, it's becoming the headquarter for the Middle East. But we've also, 2 years ago, we opened a branch in Mumbai, in India. 3 years ago, we opened a branch in Cairo. So we're expanding geographically, and we aspire to go to many other places, and we're only restricted by the amount of time that we have, because the business is growing here. So to be honest, we can't keep up, but we want to go to Saudi, we want to go to Bahrain. Like, we have potential in every single country, and Dubai or the UAE is becoming now the hub or the head office for all the Middle East. Mumbai branch is doing pretty well. Cairo branch. Cairo is even harder than the UAE. UAE, we have a lot of expats coming from Western countries, so they know the concept. In Cairo, it's all Egyptians. The concept of home inspection is not something that so we do as much of brand awareness and knowledge on the services in Cairo. But it's moving on the right direction. India is doing well, and here, of course, it's flying. What do we aspire? Aspire to grow it and really become a multinational. I want to go back to the same model that I had on my corporate life. I want to really grow it to be a multinational company. Now we have a headquarter in Toronto, the Dubai branch, which is responsible for the entire UAE, becoming the headquarter for Middle East Africa. So I'm following a kind of, although the company, the field, it's not going to be like a $30 billion company. We're still working in a very niche market, but I want to put it in a model that similar to big multinational.
So we will see other branches.
Absolutely. Very soon you'll have, I'll let you know. But so far we have here Mumbai and Cairo for the Middle East, and of course the headquarters is in Toronto.
Sir, of course, after your faithful journey and rich experiences, you made your successful journey and you made your successful story. So the word of success is not strange to you. How can you define success?
How we define success is you follow your dream, do what you feel you like to do. By the way, I didn't get a chance to mention, but as I told you, I'm a civil engineer by profession. So from day one, when I graduated, although I joined for 23 years companies and worked in multinational companies and, different continents of the world or whatever, but I always you have to have what we call a true north. You need to have a very long-term vision, what you want to do at the end, what you want to retire with. And I always knew and wanted to have my own business that I will grow at a certain point of time. It just happened that I did it after 23 years of working in corporate life. I could have done it after 5 years, but it's always in my mind. And the reason why I didn't do it earlier is that I was doing pretty well in corporate. I'm growing, I'm traveling the world, I'm having a lot of expat experiences. Just keep following it until the right time comes, and I felt, this is the end. Looks like I reach everything that I can reach. Of course, there was a bigger position I could have taken, but you have to know your limit. At that time I knew that if I'm not moving to the headquarters in the US, probably I'm not going to go any higher than this. And I want to stay in the region. Went back to my true north. This is what I dreamt of at one day, and I followed it. Follow your dream. Make sure, I mentioned that earlier, get out of your comfort zone, very important. And this is something that all young entrepreneurs or young people in general that's starting their career, everybody now want to stay comfortable. I want to work. It's the comfort zone. Once you start to feel that you're in your comfort zone, you're setting yourself up for failure. And this is tested and tried.
So again, sir, we need an advice from your side to the new generation, to young entrepreneurs aspiring to enter the same field.
Well, this is like I'm talking to you guys, young entrepreneurs now that thinking of going into that business. I would definitely encourage you. It's a perfect business, but you need to like it. Definitely, you need to have some engineering background. Like if you're in finance, I would not advise you because it's very engineering kind of related business. We get into a situation where you need to do defect analysis. You go to homes that have some unknown leak coming from whatever, or unknown cracks happening in the foundations or whatever. So you need to be from that background. So now, assuming that you have a construction or engineering background, think of it as a niche business. There are too many others, other fields that you can get into.
The UAE has for sure contributed to your success story. So, what is your appreciation message you would like to convey through our episode to the UAE and its rulers?
Oh well, UAE. I cannot say enough and give enough credit for the UAE. UAE is the land of dreams for any entrepreneur. The way the rulers of this country are putting the strategies and the policies and setting the stage for success for any company is unmatched with any other countries. You've probably heard, I lived in so many continents. I lived, of course, in the Middle East, in Egypt. I lived in Canada. I lived in Australia, and I lived here, and I lived in other parts in the UK, but the old days. But the way this country is structured and the vision of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum and all the rulers and of course His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, you can really tell. And I'm very trying to be very updated with the vision, the strategy. Whenever they issue a new strategy for the next 10 years or even 30 years, they are seriously setting the stage for the UAE to grow even further, to encourage entrepreneurs to do business and be successful to a level, as I mentioned, that is not matched with any other countries that I've seen across the globe. So thank you so much if anybody will ever hear my message. But I really cannot give enough credit for all the authorities and rulers of the UAE for the support that they're giving for all entrepreneurs, of course, not for us specifically, but all entrepreneurs, because this country is built for growth and for success because of all these strategies and the vision that the rulers are putting in place.
Thank you so much, sir. It was my pleasure talking with you today.
Thank you, Rahma. Thank you so much. Pleasure meeting you as well.
Dear audience, this is the end of our episode. Watch us next week. Goodbye.